Karl, I'm going to issue you with a challenge.
Uh-huh.
At no point in this video about Transformers are you allowed to mention Transformers Devastation.
Fuck off, put a clip in. The live-action Transformers movies are about as close as you can get to a soulless corporate cash grab. That said, they do have a single saving grace in the form of Bumblebee, the only character in the movies with any personality, and one who they deliberately made look as shitty as possible. At least in the first film.
The first Transformers movie, that was quite a while back now.
Also as well, it was the first Transformers movie, so I don't begrudge anyone who's forgotten what Bumblebee looked like in that movie. So here's a clip of when he's first introduced.
What kind of car is he? Because I'm not particularly a gearhead.
Neither am I, and I had to look this up, but in that scene, Bumblebee takes the form of a 1976 Camaro, which the filmmakers deliberately picked out because they thought it was the worst possible Camaro. Because the idea was that Bumblebee has to look like a huge pile of shit when he's first introduced.
Wasn't Bumblebee a beetle originally?
Yeah, in the original cartoons, he's a little cute beetle.
Why is he a Camaro?
Oh,
I know the answer already.
Yeah, it's because product placement. Because General Motors had dollars on the Transformers movies, and they heavily advised the filmmakers that all of the heroic Autobots should be General Motors cars.
Even the beaten up shit one.
Yes, so even when Bumblebee was shit, and I think they do put a nod to the fact he was a VW Beetle by putting him next to a VW Beetle in the scene that where Sam Witwicky or Shia LaBeouf's character goes to buy him. But no, General Motors like, no, we advise you to make all the heroic Autobots General Motors products. And they initially suggested making Bumblebee a Super Bee, which is a car. I'm not familiar with the name of the car. Apparently there's a car called the Super Bee, and that's what it was going to be. Obviously, Bumblebee, Super Bee, because it's Transformers movie and Subtlety's dead. And they went, no, he's got to be a Camaro, but he's got to be a shit Camaro. And they said the 1976 Camaro was the worst one they ever made. And they said, we even went as far to insist upon the fact that you had to have the chrome grille, because the chrome grille just looks so shit. So they went onto eBay and they bought 3 beat up shitty Camaros with a chrome grille. And they took them into a workshop and they took the wheels off and stuff like that. Said, oh, the wheels look too good. Put worse mismatched wheels on.
Did they actually buy them on eBay, or is that just...
No, they bought them on
eBay
eBay for about $6,000 or less. And I think one of them cost them less than $2,000. And apparently that was of paramount importance because they wanted it to be realistic that Shia LaBeouf's character bought Bumblebee for a couple $1,000s. I love the idea that they sat down and, okay, we want it to be realistic that Shia LaBeouf's character with a couple of $1,000s could buy an old Camaro, so find an old Camaro on eBay for a couple $1,000s to prove that it can be done, and then like 20 minutes into the movie, he turns into a brand new Camaro. And the thing that cracks me up about that is, at that time when the film was being made, that Camaro didn't exist. It was a concept car that General Motors gave to the film crew because they wanted it to, the release of the movie to coincide with the release of that car.
Ah, to try and get sales of the car.
Yeah, to like promote it. Like, oh, look, this is the new Camaro. Look at this old busted piece of shit. Now look at this like piece of hot, like old and busted, new hotness. Literally that. But they went, oh, realistic that Shia LaBeouf's character could buy a beat up old Camaro. Why does no one question the fact that, like, 3 days after he buys it, he drives home in a car that doesn't exist? He drives home in a car from the future.
You'd think his dad, who went with him to buy the car, would have gone...
Why are you driving an $80,000 production concept vehicle that hasn't even been released yet? What the fuck? No one, as far as like, no one questions it, do they?
I don't think anyone questions his upgrade, no.
No one questions the fact he suddenly starts driving an $80,000 car with the same license plate. It's weird.
He's just put a lot of work into it.
He put a lot of fucking work into that car. It's like, it almost looks brand new. It's ridiculous. But the idea, though, that like GM, like that scene is like, you can see a GM executive just like wanking himself silly, going, yeah.
It genuinely looks like you're watching a commercial.
Well, it is a commercial, isn't it? Because obviously General Motors had dollars on Transformers, and it's like in Jurassic World, where Mercedes-Benz like paid money to have their cars feature in the movie. And that's fine, movies cost a lot of money to make, but every single time they pull up in a car, the Mercedes-Benz logo flies towards the camera. And it pisses me off as well, because they even put in a scene where Chris Pratt hides under a Mercedes-Benz and it saves his life. It's like, wow, our cars are dinosaur-proof.
But that's also the film where they mock product placement by saying, And yes, Verizon Media presents the Indominus Rex, and then the guy from New Girls laughs about it while wearing his old Jurassic Park
I
t-shirt.
love that guy when he goes to camera. Yeah, that old park was legit. He goes, "How do you even know about that old park? It never opened, and everyone who worked on it died. How was it legit?"
So GM just threw enough money at the film to get all of the heroic Autobots to be their cars.
Yes, but, and this is what always cracks me up about product placement, because when you've got money on a film, you don't want your product to be shown in a negative light. But they had to put Decepticons in the Transformers movie, and they obviously didn't want the Decepticons to be General Motors cars, because they didn't want the General Motors logo on something that's just murdering people. So what they did for Barricade, and I fucking love this, like Barricade is Bumblebee's rival, like the police car, they based his design on that of a Mustang. But obviously, they didn't want to give like Mustang free advertising. They gave it the shape of a Mustang, but it doesn't have any branding. And I think they missed a trick there because Ford basically got free advertising for Mustang in the fact that you can go watch that movie and go, wow, that Camaro's pretty cool, but I'm a big fan of that car that's trying to kill Shia LaBeouf. I always got annoyed when I found this out, that Ford never tried to capitalise on it and say, yeah, our car tried to end the Transformers franchise at the first movie by killing Shia LaBeouf. Because if Barricade would have killed Shia LaBeouf, the movie franchise would have ended there, and we wouldn't have got Transformers last night.
Today's Brad Photoshop, a billboard with a poster for Ford Mustang.
It's got a Barricade on it.
I'm trying to run over Shia LaBeouf.
So make an advert for me. Just get some generic Ford advertisement for a Mustang and put underneath it the car that tried to kill Shia LaBeouf.
Just put his head from underneath the bottom of
I
it.
buy that car. And can we talk about as well how Barricade is so much smarter than Bumblebee? So the Decepticons, they're stupid. Like, they're stupid and evil. Well, not Barricade. So what is the purpose of the Transformers? What's the tagline of the entire fucking concept of Transformers?
Robots in disguise.
Yes, robots in disguise. And I don't know about you, Brad, but do you think a bright yellow future car that doesn't exist yet is a good disguise compared to a police car with the holographic projection of a policeman?
I always wondered that because all the Autobots are like fancy sports cars.
Yeah, and they drive through the desert. In later movies, they do military missions. And there's like a shot, like a glamour shot of these like bright cars driving across a military battlefield in like the Ukraine or some shit.
You know what's easy to shoot? A bright car driving across a
field.
field.
What stands out as well? Like a bright fucking blue truck.
You know what doesn't stand out? Some kind of military vehicle.
Yeah, like...
and they've proven they can transform at will.
Yeah, well, Bumblebee does it when he turns into a new Camaro. He should have turned into a fucking police car. It's like, I know Bumblebee's like protecting Sam, but he's a better disguise being a beat up old shit Camaro because that doesn't look out of place.
Yeah. Sam is not only going to be attacked now by Decepticons, he's also going to be attacked by car thieves.
Yeah. We know the reason that the Autobots don't turn into like other vehicles because General Motors like, no, they've got to be whatever car we're trying to sell this fucking year. But when you watch it in context, in universe, the Decepticons are so smart, especially Starscream, because he's the only one who turns something that can fly. It's like, oh yeah, we've got to go on all these military missions and I'm going to stay as a big fucking truck. That's like, it's got the turning circle of a shopping trolley full of beer. In universe, the Decepticons are so much smarter, and the idea that the Transformers never decide to turn into anything else and need help from the military to go to all these military sites where they're helping them, instead of just turning all into jets and flying there and just doing it all, just like bombarding that shit from orbit.
Well, which one is it where someone turns into a giant scorpion?
Oh, Scorpion-Ack. I think that's the first one.
Is it the first one?
I think it is, yeah. And also as well, remember, there's a Decepticon that turns into a satellite in space. And another one turns into a boombox.
So that proves that, I mean, there's one that turns into a fucking person.
Yeah.
It proves they don't need to conform to a particular kind of technology.
And as well, if you think about it, the Decepticons show like much greater ingenuity in the things they turn into, because the Autobots only turn into consumer-grade vehicles that can't fight without transforming. Do you know what can fight without transforming and revealing itself as a giant robot? A tank. A jet, a helicopter, even a fucking police car. Like, you wouldn't think twice, like hearing gunshots when that thing's around.
But obviously, we're going to have people in the comments who are going, well, if they turn into those kind of things, they can't blend in as well on the streets. There shouldn't be a fucking bright-coloured sports car in the first place.
Turn into a police car.
Yeah.
Like,
or just any car.
It's like Fast and Furious movies. Like the very first one where they try to escape from the police. and they're like driving off in like bright pink cars with anime characters on the
With
side.
neon lights.
And it's like, the opening scene of the first Fast and Furious movie is they all turn up in jet black cars with tinted windows. That's a good idea. Harder to see at night. But they've all got green tints underneath. It's like the police can see it like 40 miles away. Just follow the 6 cars with green tint on them.
Unless they have a button that turns it off, so you round a corner and turn it off, and then the police round the corner and don't know where you've gone.
Maybe. But it's like Transformers, where in the later films, when they're doing like military missions, they're still rocking up in a Nissan Skyline. It's like, really? This is the way you're going to try and sneak into a military compound?
Remember when I first watched Fast and Furious, I had no idea when they were going, you owe me a 10-second car. And I was like, what is a 10-second car?
Like, Brad, it's because you're not living your life a quarter mile at a time. So, fuck it, we're going to talk about this because I rewatched all the Fast and Furious movies recently. Vin Diesel's character, like Dominic Toretto, is a fucking arsehole. Because do you know what his backstory is?
I don't recall.
In the first movie, he talks about it. He says, my dad was a racer, like an actual legitimate racer, like not a street racer or anything like that. And he dies in a horrific like accident that like burns him alive. And Dominic Toretto says like, oh, the guy who was involved in the accident, I saw him a few weeks later and I beat him half to death with a tire iron and left him so severely mentally disabled that he works as a janitor in a school. And he never mentions it again. And the words I like to point out in that previous sentence are the words horrific accident. Because obviously it's a tragic accident. The guy obviously, imagine how bad he feels. He's killed a person who burnt horrifically to death.
So wait, the guy, it wasn't like a...
No, it's not an intentional thing.
His dad owed him money or something.
No,
it was
no.
legitimately just another racer accidentally...
Yeah, like they were racing for money in like, you know, legitimate sporting competition. A horrific accident occurs. His dad goes off the track. He dies. The guy responsible was presumably all kinds of guilty about it. A few weeks later, Vin Diesel comes and beats him half to death with a tire iron because nothing makes the character seem like a hero, like beating someone so viciously they end up mentally disabled, and then never feeling bad about it. Because he never like acknowledges the fact he feels bad about the fact he ruins this guy's life for accidentally killing his dad when his dad was in a race where he presumably understood the risks involved.
You know who would never have done that?
Brian O'Connor. And that's what makes the end of Fast and Furious so annoying to me, because like Paul Walker lets him go because he feels some obligation to him, despite the fact he admits in like, you know, their first meeting, I viciously beat a guy to death for an accident, and the only thing he knows about what him and his crew has been doing is viciously beating truckers and stealing their cargo to such an extent they have to arm themselves because they're genuinely in fear for their lives. Because it shows like the opening scenes, them firing a fucking grappling hook through a guy's window. It's like, that could have killed him. You could have killed that guy. And then you steal his shit, and it's like, yeah, but people don't understand the way we live. It's like, you're killing people.
But Karl, family.
Yeah, family. It's all about family, isn't it?
Family and Corona.
It's all about
Family and Corona.
Fuck off. Dominic Toretto, fuck. I'm glad that Vin Diesel hates those movies now. I'm glad The Rock's more popular than Vin Diesel.
I think GM Motors, though, missed a trick by not having their rivals' cars as the Decepticons. Because they could have been like, oh, look at that car. That car's trying to murder someone. Our car won't do that.
The thing is, though, like we've talked about it before when it comes to product placement, where companies who pay for their products to appear in a movie generally don't like, they have exclusivity clauses and stuff that stop rival products from appearing. And I think, like, as fun as that would have been, there's no fucking way a company's going to do that. But it would have been hilarious because there is product placement in that first Transformers movie where the product does kill somebody, because Mountain Dew and Microsoft both have products in that movie that turn into Decepticons and murder people. Because there's the Mountain Dew vending machine that turns into a Decepticon and starts shooting people with like cans of soda. And then there's the Microsoft Xbox that turns into a Decepticon and eats the guy. So I think they should have done that. But no, General was like, we don't want our car shown running people over. Which is probably a thing, like, it's probably good that that footage doesn't exist.
Imagine that, like a line of dialogue, Shia LaBeouf's like, oh my god, that Ford Mustang just tried to kill me.
They don't put any branding on it, so it's not technically a Mustang,
Yeah.
but it's very obviously one based on like the way it's like the shape of it. And they, instead of having any branding on it, it has like the Decepticon logo, and then instead of protect and serve, it has punish and enslave, which I think is a neat feature.
It is, but then if you're trying to blend in and you've picked a police car to do so...
No one looks that closely at a police car, do they? But it's just the idea, though, that it says to punish and enslave on the side. It's like, yeah! How do the Decepticons even know what that means? Also, the plot of the first movie is that we want those glasses. Why don't they just buy them on eBay? Like, could the Decepticons not like hack into a bank and like get a PayPal account and just put like $400 on it and buy those glasses off him? and then take over the world. And then Megatron could just come down and start, like, just beasting on everybody.
Karl, stop picking holes in a masterpiece of a movie.
It's like, it's more the fact, like, this movie's already a piece of shit. Why am I even giving it a second thought? But at the same time, I love the Transformers. So I kind of, like, I have to do this. Like, why? Why Transformers? Getting back to Bumblebee, though, in his first car form, the production crew did indeed make that Camaro look as shitty as possible, going as far to replace the wheels on it because they were too good. And that's just great, isn't it, Brad? The fact that they looked at it, because I think the ones they got all had matching wheels, and they went, nah, let's replace the wheels and make them mismatched, because that's just taking the piss. And it's weird as well if you read some of the behind the scenes stuff, like how much thought they put into some stuff compared to other stuff. Like Bumblebee's interior, it's one of the few, like, Autobots you see the interior of. It was originally all black leather, and so we didn't like that because it's not very friendly, because it just made the inside look like a black hole. So we replaced it with like more worn but more neutral coloured upholstery. And the fact they put that much thought into a Transformers movie annoys me a little bit, because like you put that much effort into that much thought and effort into the interior of Bumblebee, but then you have the second movie where like Devastator's just got giant fucking wrecking ball testicles. It's like, pick a side, make it stupid or make it like semi-realistic. You can't have both. You can't have it, Michael Bay. Stop it. That's why it pisses me off so much, because they tried really hard in some respects, but not enough in others. And there's a great story, like this review site for cars, like actually got a chance to drive the shit version of Bumblebee. And they said, like, the outside of the car was indeed a huge piece of shit, but they replaced all the internals so they wouldn't break down. Like, so they put a new engine in and stuff like that. And they said, like, in no uncertain terms, the movie studio went, if you damage this car, we will fucking kill you. And then they said it was kind of weird though, so we went to the prop master for the film and said, oh, we're here to test drive like the old version of Bumblebee. We were told to look after it. The guy in charge of it went, who gives a shit, it's an old Camaro. And just handed him the keys and let him go off. Yeah.
I'd love it if they accidentally crashed into a post or scratched something, and they brought it back and they're like, now we've got to scratch the other two.
Yeah, I think that's why they say any damage you do to this one, we have to put onto the others or repair it at cost. But it's just hilarious to me that they put so much effort into making Bumblebee look so shit. When the company who was paying for the car had paid the money to make him look good, which I'm presuming is why they put that vanity shot in later. But it still cracks me up.
So we made fun of Shia LaBeouf a bit, which I think is unfair.
Yeah,
because he's a decent actor.
I think he's an alright actor, and he's had some good roles. It's just obviously the Transformers movies are what he's best known for, and can you really fault him for overacting and hamming it the fuck up in those movies? Because I want you to do something for me now, Brad, and that is just put in a quick supercut of all the times, or as many times as you can find, of him saying the words Optimus or Bumblebee, because they are the only lines he ever seems to say. He just screams, it's like, Optimus, Bumblebee! It's like every other line in the movie. So with that in mind, Brad, what's your favourite Shia LaBeouf role?
I think he was good in Halls.
Yeah, I don't recall that movie being all that well received, but from what I do remember about it, Shia LaBeouf did a perfectly adequate job playing the main character. I think my choice for favourite Shia LaBeouf role is a film called Disturbia, which I don't think many people saw, but it's it's a remake of an older film, definitely, because obviously it's a plot that's been done before, and it's basically Shia LaBeouf is trapped in his house and thinks his neighbour is a murderer. And obviously that's the thing The Simpsons have parodied before, isn't it? Where Bart broke his leg and he thinks Ned Flanders is a murderer.
And he has the head in the fridge.
Yeah, and they put the direct reference into the film. It's parodying, where the guy's like, oh God, that kid's coming to kill me. And he's he falls out of his chair. But no, they update it for the modern age in that, where he hasn't broke his leg or he's not housebound. He's under house arrest. And one of the reasons I love that movie is because there's a lot of scenes in it of Shia LaBeouf getting tased, if I remember correctly. Because he keeps running out of, the area he's supposed to stay in, and the police officers keep tasing him.
I like you say, if I remember correctly, because if you don't, if that isn't in the film, then you're just imagining Shia LaBeouf getting tased without context.
I think something like the ankle monitor he's got on shocks him or something like that.
Yeah.
When he goes on, there's a scene where he's trying to get the paper, and he's lying down on the grass trying to get the paper without without crossing over the line.
I really hope they're not in the film. I'd love it if you've randomly
if I've remembered
just
it wrong.
if you just created the mental image of Shia LaBeouf getting electrocuted.
Well, no, 'cause it's a good thing, because at the end of the film, when I think the plot twist, the guy is a murderer.
Yeah.
And to get him arrested, he goes, oh, how do I arrest him? Oh, and I think he leaps out of his window.
And the police turn up.
Yeah, obviously, because he's broken his house, arresting him. I'm going to fucking get this kid, 'cause the police officer hates him. And if I recall, I think there's a scene in the movie where it just becomes skeleton. And I don't know what I remember, but I just remember there's a bit in the movie where it just like Shia LaBeouf's character's world just turns to skeleton. And I don't know if I remember it, but I just remember there's a scene of Shia LaBeouf yelling at a skeleton. And that image is so ingrained in my head, I don't know if it's from that movie or not. So I want you to find out for me about if it is. And just to end this video, just a shot of Shia LaBeouf yelling at a skeleton.
From whatever film it's in.
Yeah. And if it doesn't exist, I want you to composite that image. And just put Shia LaBeouf's head.
Just a scene from Poltergeist.
Yeah, but I want you to put in Shia LaBeouf screaming the word Optimus. Just like at the skeleton. if I'm not remembering this film properly. Oh my god, that kid's coming to kill me!